Good morning, and how are you today? Great to see you. I have a cracking melon wine recipe that I've been creating and crafting and is just perfect for us to make today. This wine is fantastic. It is a great summer's drink. It's light, it's refreshing, yet it has this depth and deepness of melon tones to it. It's perfect for summer and also great in winter as an aperitif to your main heavy meals. So what ingredients do we need to make melon wine? Well, first up, 1 melon. I'm using a honeydew melon, but you can also use a gala melon if that's what you have available. But my personal preference is for the honeydew. I find it's just that much sweeter. And the other ingredients are going to be following to bring out all the flavour of the honeydew. Fantastic, right then. With this recipe, I'm going to be using some honey as well as sugar, because I find that the honey really complements the honeydew or the melon sweetness. Because the melon doesn't have a great deal of body or vigour to the flavour, I find that the honey works really well at bringing out the sweetness and the desired flavour and taste of the melon. The recipe works equally well if you just use sugar, but I find it does lack a certain amount of
Vavoom
to it. So I find half honey and half sugar is the best way forward for melon wine. As always with my recipes, the full method and ingredients list is down below in the description in my website, so go and check it out after this video and either make this recipe or choose another you want to make for your next batch of country wine. So let's get into the making of this melon wine. Fantastic, I love melon wine. It's probably up there with one of my favourite wines to drink in summer. It's refreshing, it's light, it's tasty. So grab a sharp knife and start chopping your honeydew melon. Remove the seeds where you can. With your chunks of melon removed from the skin and de-seeded, you want to grab yourself your clean, sanitised fermentation bucket and throw in all the flesh of your melon. On top of the melon, you then want to add 1 pound of honey. That's 454 grams, or rounded up to half a kilo if that's the quantity you can buy your honey in. I apologise about the rain and the tractors. It doesn't matter if you're using set honey or runny honey. I do find that runny honey works better because it's easier, it's more pliable and easier to manipulate out of the jar. But all I could get today was set honey, so that's what I'm using. And just scoop your honey into your fermenter. This wine is ideal as a light summer's drink. Therefore, you do not want the alcohol content to be too overpowering. You do not want this wine to put you on your back in bed too early in the day, nor do you want the alcohol flavour to overpower that delicate, subtle honeydew melon taste. So now we need to add about 500 grams of sugar to the mix on top of the melon, on top of the honey. So to pour in your 500 grams of granulated sugar. With your sugar added, you want to squeeze in the juice of 1 lemon and also throw in the flesh as well into your fermenter. Fantastic. So just give it a really good squeeze in. This recipe is so quick to make and it does mature quickly as well, so it'd be great for later on in the year. If you make it in the spring, you'd be drinking it by Christmas. Fantastic. So now you want to pour over 1 gallon of water. I'm using cold water because you do not want to be cooking that melon. If you cook the melon by pouring over boiling water, it does give off flavours. General rule of thumb is you heat up ingredients that you wouldn't eat raw. So things like potatoes or carrots, they're better boiled. You would add boiling water to. Things like rhubarb, berries, melon, they are better having cold water added because cooked melon, no, it doesn't work. So if you would eat it cold, raw, uncooked, add cold water. If you would normally cook things like potato, carrots, then add boiling water. That's a general rule of thumb, but there are some exceptions. So pour over your cold water and give it a really good stir. Get that honey and the sugar as dissolved as you can. It will break down over time if you don't get all the grains of sugar dissolved into the liquid, but give it your best shot. Give it a good stir. And then it's time to pitch your yeast into your must. I'm using a general purpose wine yeast. You do not need to use anything too high alcohol wise because this is a light wine. So just use your general purpose wine yeast and that will work wonders. So either 1 teaspoon or a sachet of yeast, depends what you're using. Sprinkle it in and then put your lid on your fermenter and put it away in a warm place and let it stand for 5 or 7 days. And I'll be back with you in a minute now and we'll continue this recipe. And I'm back. 5 days have passed and the melon wine has been stood fermenting, bubbling really well in the primary fermentation vessel. Come, have a look. It's given off a very sweet but dry aroma. You know how sometimes you have a melon and it sucks your cheeks in because it's very, yeah, that flavour. Anyway, it's given off that type of aroma. Now this is a brilliant light summer drink. It's light, refreshing. It has that dryness to it, yet it's sweet at the same time. It complements an empty wine glass really well. And so the next stage is to decant all the juice from the melon and that water into a clean, sterilised, sanitised demi-jar. You won't believe this, but I have a funnel arrived in the post this morning, so I can't wait to test this funnel out. I normally try and siphon liquids wherever I can because it makes less mess, but I'm going to try with a funnel. And to catch all the melon chunks and the lemon that's in there, I'm going to be using a lady's pop. To catch all those melon chunks and the lemon that's in there, I'm going to be using a lady's tight stocking thing that goes around the legs. It's clean, it's brand new, out of the packet, and it's had a hot boil as well, so it's all clean and there's no air in there. Anyway, I'm going to simply place the funnel inside of the lady's tight stocking thing. It does, unfortunately, remind me of some type of sex toy, but I won't go into that. So you want to place your stocking and funnel inside the neck of a demi-jar. And start pouring your fermentation bucket full of the melon and melon juice into the funnel and into your clean demi-jar. Well, I have to say, I do prefer siphoning liquids than I do pouring them into a funnel or into a demi-jar. I find it easier and quicker and makes less mess. So that's what I'll probably be doing from now on. Anyway, the demi-jar is full and I have a small sample to test. Very light, it's very refreshing. It's melon hits your nose, it hits your tongue. It's sweet as well. It's that honey coming through. That honey comes through as an after bite. Really is succulent and sweet and tasty, yet the initial mouthful on the tongue is very, that melon tingle. Brilliant, I love it. And when that is finished fermenting, it's going to have a lovely alcohol aftertaste to it, I think, just behind the honey. So what we need to do now is put your airlock into the neck of the demi-jar and set it aside in a warm place to continue fermenting. And the time it takes to ferment can be anywhere between a week to a month to 6 weeks. Depends on so many different factors. But let it just carry on bubbling, let it carry on fermenting. Let it carry on doing its thing. Then once it's finished fermenting, you can rack it off any sediment that it has thrown and it will start to clear beautifully. Again, this wine does not take that long to age, so it will be great for midsummer, autumn if you make it in the spring, or even better if you can lay a few bottles down to mature, you'll be well rewarded. Next year, next summer, you'll have this delightful, blissful, delicate, sweet melon wine. That'll be a great accompaniment to so many different dishes. Would you like to try my melon wine? If so, give this video a like down below. And if you want to watch another video, why don't you check this one out up by here? It's a really good one. So you have fun, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers.